One of the most important parts of learning how to write about play in the most effective way that you can for assessments is to work on your ability to use the stimulus material. What's really important is that you understand that the stimulus material is there to help you. It's not there to be seen as something that, oh, we must include this and I have to do this and I have to do that. Yes, there are some guidelines and a couple of things that you should do every time that you use it, but it is there to push you into further thinking and to be able to show that you can work with so many ideas in your preparation and with so many different structures and so many things that you want to say about writing about play, that when it comes to writing your piece on the day and looking at the unseen stimulus material, you can put all that together and come up with some fantastic pieces. Today's video is going to take a look at the 2024 exam, the Section B material for writing about play. Everything that I'm going to say within the context of looking at these different pieces of material that were used on the exam is here to help you with the way that you look at any stimulus material, whether you're getting ready for a SAC, whether you are getting ready for your end of year exam as well. So let's dive right in right from the start. And the first thing that we'll see here is that we have a title. Now, there is one really clear instruction on the exam, and that is to say that students must use the title provided. And so we don't want to be cute with that and think, oh, it's okay, I'll just put it up the top and then I'll make it what I want to or anything like that. The title of your Section B piece is just like the question in a Section A essay in terms of it is there for you to be guided by throughout the entire piece. It should shape the purpose of your overall piece and all of the decisions that come as you start to write the piece. I'll be showing you how to use that title with another video that we have available here on the channel, which is looking at turning this stimulus material into actual practice pieces. I'd encourage you to take a look at it. Okay, so this year's title in 2024 was Time to Play. And so the first thing that we need to do with that is to think about everything that comes with that. What does that really mean, time to play? And the idea behind this is that you don't have to have a perfect answer. There's not a way of you thinking, oh, well, the VCAA wanted us to think this, and if I didn't think that, then I was completely wrong. In fact, it's there for you to work with. And so when I first look at this, I think, okay, does that mean that there is a designated time to play? And that I'm going to write about how we need to carve out time in our busy lives to ensure that we're playing. Does it mean, a direction from someone? Okay, we've done enough of that. Now it's time to play. Is it about finding time? All of these different ways that we can look at it. That's what you're there to do. That's why they call it stimulus material, because it's meant to stimulate ideas inside your mind to give you some further things to work with. What's important though is that once we start to think of these ideas, we don't think of them as just little flashes in the pan. We think, yeah, I just might mention that from time to time. The idea is that this title is going to guide the entire purpose of your piece. Everything that you are going to write in this piece has to come back to that title. So what is it that you can say using this idea of time to play? When we then take a look at the rest of the stimulus material, we'll see that there are three different kinds, 2 written and 1 visual. Stimulus material number 1 looked like this in the 2024 exam. I can think whatever I like to think. I can play whatever I like to play. So, probably not a whole lot going on under the surface with this one. To me, it brings up ideas of freedom of choice, of play being where we are unrestricted. We can do what we want. Notice how all of those words and terms that I'm coming up with there are further thoughts and ideas that I can keep, working with in order to round out a really good piece. Freedom, unrestricted, all of these things. These are not words that are actually used in that stimulus material, but they are definitely things that I can start to use in order to access some greater ideas. We then go to the visual material, which, as you can see, is widely open for your own interpretation. We have the rocket launches, or the jet streams coming out the back there. We can see that this thing is moving fast. We can see the exclamation marks around the light globe. What this means exactly, again, open to your interpretation. Of course, the clouds are there. So we start thinking about, terms like the sky's the limit. We start thinking about how rapidly this thing is going, how fast it is taking off, all of these types of things. For me, the globe is there as a way to represent thinking, ideas. This way of understanding this as a concept in terms of, that there are ways that our mind can go to all these, sort of places. There are no boundaries. It can take off like a rocket beyond all of these things. There's also a feeling in this picture, from my perspective, a feeling of optimism, of hope, of something soaring through the air. So if we start to, put all of these things together, we're starting to build a little bit of a picture, aren't we, around, okay, I've got freedom, no limits, soaring through the air, hope, optimism, imagination and ideas running wild. All right, but I've got to be able to bring that into helping me come up with some ideas for time to play. We're going to finish off by looking at the third written stimulus here, which, as you can see, "You are old, Father William," the young man said, "and your hair has become very white. And yet you incessantly stand on your head. Do you think at your age it is right?" For me, I really love this idea because it seems to be that Father William is aging physically, yet this idea is that in spirit and in attitude and in the things that he does, he is still, young at heart in the way that he goes, away with these things. Certain things that this brings to mind for me are the idea of, okay, people, don't get old, don't stop exercising or running because they get old. They get old because they stop exercising or running. There's a lot of sayings like that out there. And so that's sort of the ideas that it brings up for me. How do you use this stimulus material? Remember that you don't have to use all three of the stimulus material. There is only one must in this entire task, and that is that you must use the title provided. After that, you are to use at least one of the stimulus material. Do not misunderstand this task to the point where you think that working with more of the stimulus material equals a better job. Or that if you write a piece that is similar to someone else's, but you've touched on all three of the stimuli, then you're going to do a better job than someone who is pretty similar to you but has only used one. It's not about the quantity of the stimulus material that you used. It's about the quality of what you do with it. So with that, you need to make sure that you find a balance where you are showing that where you've been inspired by the stimulus material without just writing it out word for word or being too obvious with it. Really, any sort of way of you writing where there is some sort of reference to the material or where your teacher or an assessor can see where you have generated your ideas from will be good enough. What's most important is that everything comes back to the title. And I'd really encourage you to take a look at some of the sample pieces that I've written to give you a sense about what this looks like in context. All the best.